He went on a party boat, supposedly with some friends.
But what led up to his disappearance is a question the family wants answered.
We were told that they did not know what happened, that they just noticed that he was missing from the boat.
2 young men, 2 summer weekends, 2 boating outings with friends, 2 disappearances, 2 bodies recovered just 2 days later. One became national headlines, the other almost disappeared. So every now and then, 2 stories come along that force you to stop, to scratch your head even. Not because they're connected as far as the allegations of the parties involved, but they're connected by the why. So this is impossible to ignore. And tonight, let me be crystal clear first, guys. I am not saying that these 2 cases are connected by the parties that's being accused. I'm saying they're connected by the why. Why did America become consumed by one story while the other barely made the news?
I'm filled with emotions. This is very hard. This is about one of the hardest things I think I've ever had to do.
A devastating discovery for the family of this man, 23-year-old Akin Liverpool.
Just made contact with the jet ski. They said I could see something floating in the water. I sent them back towards that way, and they said it looks like a body.
Miami police officers were dispatched to 1541 Brickell Avenue Sunday. Liverpool's family tells 7 News his body was found near Biscayne Bay Drive.
We just got the news that my nephew was found.
Crystal King, Liverpool's aunt, spoke with us moments after that call.
We were actually hoping that they would find him alive, but unfortunately that's not the case.
Liverpool was reported missing by Miami police Saturday from Miami's Brickell neighborhood. According to the U.S. Coast Guard, Liverpool was last seen on a charter boat in Biscayne Bay going from Hobie Beach towards the Miami River.
So that was Akin's aunt, right? And she wants answers. And honestly, I think America should know his name. Because while millions of people know the name of Nolan Wells, very few have ever heard the name Akin Liverpool. Now, we know that Nolan Wells lost his life under tragic circumstances at the tender age, mind you, of just 18 years old. A fine young man, a football player, an athlete. And by all accounts, he comes from a good family. And everyone wants to know what's going on with Nolan. Now, we don't know the who. And really, we don't know the where, how, and why. So that is tragic enough to have another story almost parallel the story of Nolan Wells. Now, get this story with Akin, it happened in Miami, Florida, just a few weeks before the tragedy of Nolan Wells. So by now, guys, probably everyone in America and even beyond have heard the story of Nolan Wells, right? And just look at the parallels. A day on the water with friends. He never came home. 2 days later, his body is recovered. The story explodes. National media, daily updates, Benjamin Crump, Al Sharpton, reward money, millions of people following every development. And his family, yes, they deserve all of the attention that the story is getting. But here's what stopped me in my tracks. Another young man, another boat, another family, another body recovered within 2 days. Yet, somehow, America barely noticed. Akin Liverpool was only 23 years old, y'all. A recent Barry University graduate. He had earned his master's degree, and his dream, well, was to continue his education and earn his doctorate. So family members described him as brilliant, kind, and full of promise. They should not have been preparing for his funeral. They should have been talking about his future. So let's take a look at what happened to Akin. June 12th, 2026. Akin joins friends for a birthday celebration aboard a 39-foot charter boat in Biscayne Bay. That's in Miami, right? So you have 8 passengers. one captain, there's music, laughter, a beautiful South Florida evening. Just another night on the water, or so everyone thought. So here's what the public records tell us. Around 8 o'clock p.m., the boat leaves the dock. Around 9 o'clock p.m., it anchors near Hobie Beach. People are swimming, talking, celebrating, and around 10:30 p.m., the boat begins heading back toward Miami. And according to the Florida Fish and Wildlife Incident Report, Akin is reportedly last seen dancing on the bow. And this is where the timeline becomes much less clear or clearer. Now, according to investigators, at some point during the return trip, one of the passengers realizes that Akin is no longer on the boat. And we don't publicly know exactly who noticed it first. We don't publicly know exactly how much time had passed. We don't even know the exact moment that anyone realized that he was gone. But what we do know is that the captain turns the boat around. They search, they can't find him. Authorities are notified. The Coast Guard received the missing person report shortly before midnight. So this might give you pause, guys. There was another detail that caught my attention. One of Akin's close friends, now she wasn't on the boat, later told reporters that Akin had actually called her while he was out on the water, and he sounded happy. He told her that he was having a great time. He even sent her a picture from the boat. Before the call ended, he told her, "I'll call you when I get off the boat." That call never came. So fast forward 2 days. Akin Liverpool's body is recovered near Brickell, and the Florida Fish and Wildlife takes over the investigation, and pretty much that's where the public story largely ends. Akin's family, well, they have questions. I have questions. For me, I don't know how that's where the story ends. We want to know who were the 8 passengers. We want to know what was the captain doing. And we know that Akin was reportedly last seen dancing near the front of the boat. So we know someone later realized that he wasn't there. But the public record still leaves us with important gaps. Who first realized that Akin was missing? Exactly how much time had elapsed? And who made the emergency call? So what did the investigators learn from each passenger? So has the Florida Fish and Wildlife ruled out every possibility? Or is the investigation still ongoing? So those aren't accusations. They're the kind of questions every investigation eventually has to answer. And again, I'm not questioning whether these two stories are connected in that way. There's no public evidence to suggest that they are, and it wouldn't even make sense, right? But what I am questioning, though, is the why. When 2 intelligent, ambitious, inspiring young men go out with friends or people that they consider friends, and of course, both stories end in tragedy with so many unanswered questions. So what happened? What do investigators know? What does the evidence show? And just as importantly, why has one family received an overwhelming wave of public attention while the other has largely been left to grieve outside the national spotlight? So that's the story we're following, and we're not moving on after one episode. We're going to stay with the story, and we're going to follow the investigation. We're going to follow the public record. We're going to separate facts from speculation, because Akin's family deserves answers. And so just like Nolan Wells' family deserves answers, they both together share a tragedy that is completely not something I don't think any of us could even imagine. So if the Florida Fish and Wildlife is leading this investigation, y'all, I don't think so. then the public deserves to understand where that investigation stands. What has been determined, what remains unknown that no one has talked about, and rather additional information will eventually become public. Because for this family, case closed? No, that's not good enough. Not until the facts answer the questions. So let's get it together, Miami PD. We need to look into this a little bit deeper. And I'm not trying to insult the Florida Fish and Wildlife Commission, but I tell you what, the Miami investigators need to have a sit down, because we want to know what happened. If it was an accident and he lost his balance or something, he was on the front of the yacht. What I want to know, or the questions that I have, are if he is standing or dancing on the bow or the front of the yacht, and the captain is facing in that direction, headed to wherever they're going, how did no one see him fall? What happened? So those are the questions that I have. I don't know that the FWC has what it takes, in my opinion, to independently investigate this death without the help or intervention of another agency. That's just me. That's just what I think, because someone lost their life, and case closed is just simply not going to work for us. And let me say this, maybe Akin's death was just an unfortunate accident. And if the evidence ultimately shows that's exactly what happened, then we will respectfully accept those findings. But before any tragedy is simply remembered as an accident, the families deserve clear answers, and the public deserves transparency. And the facts deserve to be fully explored and understood. So until then, we're going to continue following the story, not to create suspicion, but to make sure that this young man's life and the questions surrounding his final moments are not forgotten. So as always, guys, thank you for tuning in to Southern Confidential. I really appreciate you spending and sharing your time with us. If you haven't already, take a moment, subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video, and I'll be doing a part 2 on this for sure. And I'll see you next time.